This week, we're going to find out what the top 10 best-selling board games were for the summer of 2014.
And our topic of the week, board games in other mediums. How do our favorite properties fare outside the tabletop? I'm Will Keeler.
I'm Jonathan Estes, and this is the Roll for Crit podcast. The website ICV2 has just reported on some of the statistics over the summer, and they've come up with a list of what the top 10 best-selling games were just for this past summer. So it's sort of interesting what the actual results are. In fact, I'm not gonna tell you yet. I'm gonna ask you.
Yeah.
What are your guesses?
All right. So I'm gonna start off with Twilight Struggle for number one.
Okay.
Next, I'm gonna go with Candyland.
Okay. I think they were interviewing like game hobby shops, so I don't think like Target or Toys R Us. I think this was more our type of game.
I'm almost certain there's no way Munchkin can be on there. And no way, I'm guessing Ticket to Ride or Catan, because who would buy those games, right?
You might be surprised.
Really?
You're on with some and off with others.
Oh.
Munchkin was not on this list.
Really?
Now, to be fair, I don't know. They did not really say how they got this data. I think it's based on interviews and stuff. It's not like concrete because unlike movies and video games, there isn't really a measurement for this kind of thing as rigid as they have, or that they keep track of.
They can't just get sales?
I don't know. Apparently they don't do that.
Apparently, when we sell board games, we instantly forget what we sold. Did we sell any Munchkin yet? I don't know anymore.
According to the list, number one was Settlers of Catan. Number
Surprise.
two was Ticket to Ride.
Of course.
Actually, I was surprised by how many of the list was old classic games. Maybe I shouldn't be, but all the ones you'd expect. Carcassonne, Pandemic, King of Tokyo. The only new games that were on there within like the last year or so were Caverna, Eldritch Horror, and number three actually was Firefly, which is not too surprising because that's such a big property.
Yeah, which is sort of funny because it didn't last long.
Right. But I found it almost like kind of sad how like really Settlers of Catan is still number one. Like, doesn't anyone get into the more deeper into it?
You see, it's not sad because you think it's sad because you've already passed that point.
It's literally been out since 1996 or something.
Yeah, but think about it. Even though it's been that long, board games haven't really become part of the really popular mainstream till recently.
Yeah.
And I think Catan's been really growing a lot. Like, you know, a few years before you tell me about Catan, I'd be like, you're playing a game about farming.
Yeah, as we've discussed many times.
But I mean, it's not that big of a surprise. I
feel like it's like the equivalent of if video games were the bestseller was like Mario Brothers, like the NES version.
Granted, once again, we don't know how this data was collected,
right.
So it could be like, what did I sell? I'm pretty sure I sold some Catan.
It sounds, I don't know. So I just thought that was interesting, though. I think that those games have such a long shelf life. It really is.
Board games do a very good job at that.
And of course, this was just for the summer, so I don't know if that really even... But anyway, so that's an interesting tidbit. So,
well, on some other news, Scrabble, as we mentioned earlier, and released their new dictionaries, which included a lot more of the more common phrases that popped up in the last few years, like bromance, hashtag. And when they do these, they release two dictionaries. There's the official one for competition. Then there's the family one, which I believe usually tries to take out any kind of curse words and stuff, because obviously if it's not in there, there's no way your kid will know about it. Unfortunately for this last one, they did a really sloppy job. And a lot of the people who play Scrabble much more than we do have noticed these mistakes and have found like certain words that make no sense that are in one or in the other. I believe there's misspellings. Like, there's a lot of it just looks like really shoddy work.
Yeah. It was really surprising to read that.
Yeah.
I guess they just I mean, because Scrabble tournaments and things are pretty big, so you'd think they would be taking into account those, because there are a lot of those serious players.
Well, not only that, and a game about words that they've been doing for so long. How do they? How are they spelling as bad as I do?
Yeah, how hard is it to just put some new words in? Then again, this was like the first time they really updated the book in a while, I think. So maybe it was just they were out of practice.
Well, and I think another big issue is, from what we hear, is there's no clear, really answer what they're doing about it.
Yeah.
And which is really insulting to a lot of people who've been doing Scrabble for years. Like, they've been in the tournaments, you know. It's like, imagine playing one of your favorite games and finally, like, once again, I'm just going to video games, because they actually do usually update much more than a board game.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like a Mario game, which you've been playing for years, and all of a sudden the next one is just terrible. And they're not saying that they're updating it at all. Like, it was just super glitchy. Like, it just is so weird.
Yeah, I guess they were just figured, you know, we're the casual family market. Like, most people won't notice or care. It really is just those hardcore players. But you would think they would be significant enough to make them consider it. I don't know.
Yeah. Once again, it is interesting because we had this discussion before. Because when he told me about the two dictionaries, I don't understand why they take out the wrong words, because I'm like, if I'm a little kid, I'm going to play that word. If I have the letters.
If you're a little kid, honestly, you probably don't even use the dictionary. You just like, I don't know what the words are.
And I mean, unless you're worried about your kid looking on the dictionary each turn before he plays a word, then you're not really playing Scrabble, are you?
I don't know, but I can see where they're coming from with it.
But I mean,
that's a whole
still,
other issue.
yeah. I mean, that's not part of this problem.
Yeah. Anyway, it sucks.
Yeah, it's a really odd mistake. I hope the makers of Scrabble fix that soon, because I don't know, it just seems like a really odd thing to mess up.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. Shucks. Better luck next time, Scrabble players. Hopefully they fix that soon. Hey, anybody feeling charitable? I am. Well, actually, this past weekend was the Extra Life charity. Maybe you got to see some of that. Maybe some of them might still be going on. And another big charity thing also kicked off last week, which is the Jack Vassell Memorial Fund auction. And if you're not familiar, Tom Vassell, famous board game reviewer, this is a charity that he started, and it gives to people, gamers in need in like times of financial hardship and everything, and it works through Board Game Geek. And what it is you, a company, individuals, anyone can donate items. They especially like unusual board games. It doesn't have to be a board game. It can just be kind of like a nerdy, fun thing. And then other people bid on the items, and it all goes to charity. So it's it's a nice thing. It's nice to see when board game players and just gamers in general get together to do something like that, like Child's Play that Penny Arcade does. So you can check out the link, and you can either submit an item or donate and try to win something. So it's kind of cool.
Who's Jack Vassell?
That was his son who died when he was only a year old. So that's why it's sad. And that's why all the proceeds go to like people who need help with stuff like medical bills or stuff like that.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, and as we all know, we want other people to play games, so we don't want to lose them. So this is a great way to help out others in need, especially since we're ending Halloween, and we're starting to hit the Thanksgiving, then the winter months. So
that's right. Yeah,
it is. We're in the time of thanking and giving.
That's sweet, isn't it? So yeah, check that out. Do something good for once instead of just sitting around watching this.
All right. Well, on a different note, completely opposite direction. As we mentioned earlier, video games. One of the most anticipated games has been Smash Brothers. The 3DS version was just released a little while ago. Great reviews. Everyone's loving it. We're loving it. And they've been leaking more information about the Wii U version. One of them, which is you're wondering why we're bringing up video games in the first place, is actually called Smash Tour. And it's actually a little board game in the game where you move around the character to gain stats and collect characters to use. So it's really interesting, and I think board game style actually works really well with the Wii U, especially like we mentioned before. I believe we did. The next Mario Party is actually someone has the Wii Pad and is Bowser like controlling the game, so you actually have an overlord in that.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that if digital version of board game should go like, hey Wii U, we got something. Let's do something here.
They really should. Nintendo seems to really they have Mario Party. They have the Wii Party game. It's on a couple others.
There's Dokapon Kingdom.
Yeah. Well, on Nintendo systems. Right. Yeah. But yeah, it's cool. It's good to see. it definitely isn't quite as in depth even as Mario Party, I don't think, but it's kind of cool that they're doing
It's Smash
something.
Brothers. We like it.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're a fan of Smash Brothers, if you haven't heard yet, Mewtwo is coming back, which is great news. Not only for the fact that you're getting Mewtwo, but it also means there could be more DLC characters.
What do you think about a Smash Brothers board game in real life?
Well, as we discussed before, Legendary would be amazing for it because you can have all the groups.
Yeah.
Probably won't happen. I mean, I can dream.
I got it.
If you could have, Mario, Iron Man.
Or maybe, do you remember, we should do a video one day.
What?
That Mario Party card game I have.
Oh, yeah.
Where you actually scan the cards at certain points for your Game Boy and you can actually play minigames. But when you land on a space, you have to take out your 3DS and just play a battle in Smash Brothers or something. just spitballing here. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up our news this week. It was a real crazy news week.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can tell that we could not decide between all the stories we had.
But it's finally over, which means now we're going to bring you our Kickstarter Pickstarters. The game that I'm going to tell you about this week is called Operation Faust. It is developed by Robert Burke, who we're actually fans of. He's done a couple other games through Kickstarter, namely Battle for Souls and Draco Magi.
Yeah, we actually just received Draco Magi. I haven't had a chance to play it yet. They're both on the shelf, actually, right behind me.
Yeah, if you can catch that.
We have played Battle for Souls, and we both enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, both of those are two-player head-to-head games.
Yes.
This one is pretty different. It's for 3 to 8 players, and it's a deduction bluffing game. Takes place in World War II, Nazi-occupied France, once upon a time. And you're trying to find art, basically stolen art from the Nazis. You're trying to recover it, and you're trying to get the most money. Whoever gets $1 million worth of artwork first wins. And it's sort of very similar to, in a way, to Coup, if you're familiar with that. Sort of that style of game, or Love Letter, where you have roles, and you can pretend you have one, or really have one, and someone else can challenge you if you're lying. The twist in this one is each card actually has 2 abilities. One of them is you can use it from your hand. The other one, you use it on the table. And also there's a currency so you actually need 2 points of currency to challenge someone. Otherwise you can't do it. And you also spend the currency to get art. And the idea is you're trying to find out where the most expensive artwork is. Right, there's also forged artwork. And you have different abilities, like maybe you get to look at one of the artwork cards, or you can steal money from someone, things like that. To try and get there first. So it seems like a good twist on that coup resistance bluffing style of game.
Not only that, World War II, it's not just soldiers. You're actually dealing with the art that was all.
Yeah, it's a really,
which means a lot of beautiful pieces of artwork we're going to see on the cards.
Right. So it'll already look pretty cool.
And I mean, I want to play this with you just because I know you're an art history major, so you can actually be like, well, this was done by this.
Sure, I won't know any of those things. But,
I'm going to keep asking you now.
And what was I going to say? Yeah, I don't know. Looks cool. Oh, and you can get it for $18 shipped, and you could also, for the same price, get it picked up from a convention next year if you want Gen Con or Dice Tower, if you're heading to those.
I can tell you, like we said from his other games, he puts a lot of great work into them. The boxes are really nice. They fit all the components really well. The game themselves, like I said, we haven't played the Dragon game yet. I mean, it looks awesome. I got to play a little bit at Gen Con, so it was fun, but I can't say a full game. And
probably good also to entice non-gamers to play, because the theme is it's historical and interesting.
One thing I do also like, because hearing about it, he really doesn't like player elimination. And I think that's one thing that's really nice, is he wants to make sure everyone's always in the game. So.
Although I feel like, that's great. I feel like we never play games with player elimination anyway, so for us,
we have played. We're never. Usually it's.
We do once. We have in the past, but we usually if we're that kind of game, we usually go resistant. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. Coup literally is all player elimination, so that's not really true.
And let's not forget. We need to play this more. Formula D. The first time I played it, everyone went too slow, so I crashed into everyone and died. And nothing happened to them too. It was just me.
That's a topic of the week in itself. So what's yours?
Well, mine actually is for an expansion. If you've been watching our show, you may have seen a playback for a game called Iron and Ale. Well, they're releasing their new expansion called Iron and Ale: King of the Keg. Now, in this game, someone becomes the king of the dwarves.
We should explain what's the base.
Oh,
first.
right, of course. Iron Nail is, like we said, if you haven't watched the video, silly me, how could I assume too much.
How could you not have watched it?
Is pretty much a drinking game in which there's 2 decks. There's a mountain deck, which you look in that first, you either get, or you fight a monster, which is simply you just roll die. So nothing complicated. Next, you draw from the challenge deck, or the meat hall. In this, you get to challenge someone. It may say, like, challenge someone to a push-up contest, lose their drinks, and you get points. And it's a lot of fun to do.
Lots of weird physical kinds of challenges.
It's the kind of thing. It's perfect for a bunch of friends drinking. It was hilarious. If you watch our video,
you'll see.
My brother chose to make me punish him many a time. But in this expansion, there's a king, and the king can actually take the control of the challenge if he wants to, or have someone drink for him, if I recall.
Right.
But if he loses the challenge, he loses the title of king, as well as more monsters. Some great new challenges. It's a lot more that we want, including some blank cards, which of course we already thought some great challenges.
Yeah.
Well, especially since I know with our group in particular, we don't have as many people who can challenge each other to the physical contests outside of me.
Well, not to brag or anything.
Would you like to do one now?
Yeah, let's go right now.
All right.
I'm going to edit this later, so I'll look like I did something really good.
It's going to be a cutoff of you, like, actually doing push-ups in your house or something.
Terrible. It's just like a Schwarzenegger movie. I just put my head on top and do something else.
And you have, like, me on just like a cat or something like it.
But anyway.
But the game itself for the expansion, if you got the game, is $13. Now, if you want the main game, you can get that for $25. But if you want both, you can get it for $35, so you save a couple dollars if you need both. If you're into drinking games, like we said in our video, we think this is a great addition. We should mention, totally forgot, Table Forge Games is the one who makes this game. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely cool to look into. It's a lot of fun if you, like we said, if you're drinking in the party game. In fact, in our video, someone wasn't drinking, and he still had a lot of fun. So
check it out. Check out our video and see if you want to check it out.
Yeah.
Good Kickstarters this week.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's it for now.
I think so.
So I think it's time for our topic of the week. So this week, we're talking about our favorite board game properties in other mediums, such as games, movies, books, and so on. Now, you probably come across a lot of them, depending on what you're into. Hasbro happens to be doing a lot of their games into the movie market. Arkham, Fantasy Flight Arkham and Horror in particular, has a lot of books. I can't think. We've also been talking a lot about digital versions of games as well. Mm-hmm. So, how do you feel in each of those? I mean, how they've translated.
Well, I feel like let's go one at a time.
Yeah, that's what I agree.
I feel like the meatiest one is, of course, movies.
Well, the one that definitely has the most money poured into it.
Right. Well, I mean, there's more there to chew on because more. I don't know. It just seems more.
Well, you're a movie guy. That's why there's more for you to chew on.
But of course, if you didn't know, the Ouija board movie was just released this last weekend.
Yeah.
And
we will be seeing it and telling you about it.
Yeah, well, that should be fun.
If you haven't noticed from my tone of voice, board games and movies haven't really. Or at least the ones we've seen recently haven't really.
There aren't that many.
No,
I mean,
let's try to think.
Battleship,
Ouija. We just said Clue, but that's old. That's.
I mean, they've been talking forever about supposedly they're doing a Candyland movie.
Yeah.
Which is supposed to be like a Lord of the Rings, but then I heard like Adam Sandler was involved or something. Then of course there's the D&D movies.
Right.
But
and there's a new one in the works, isn't it? Like
for D&D. Yeah. Well, that's the whole. We talk about the trial that's going on. I mean, Clue is definitely the anomaly, or that somehow that actually was a great movie.
Well, I think that happened because when it happened before this sort of Russia blockbuster out that just has a lot of explosions and everything. Yeah, because that's Battleship falls into that.
Battleship was just ridiculous.
Ouija falls into let's just get that horror game out. But because it's Ouija, I think they also lowered it because isn't it PG-13 not R?
Yeah.
So they probably cut a lot of the scary stuff that would scare most people.
Well, I mean, I think the potential any board game could, like the great thing about most board games for any medium beyond movies is that their themes are usually very general because it's not like a video game or a book where there's a story start to finish. It's usually just a world, so you could do a lot with it.
Just quick. Did you actually see Battleship?
I did not. Did you?
No, I did not.
Sorry, can't talk about that one. I know they use the pegs. The aliens actually shoot those down at people.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't want to see that movie.
Which is funny because we're going to see Waiji. Maybe we should see both, and that way we can come back.
At some point, yeah, we'll do that.
Well, obviously, there's certain games that make sense. This isn't a board game, but there are board games similar enough that are abstract enough. Like Tetris, there's a movie they're making. Of course, I guess technically, are we counting if they make a movie that's not like, for example, if they made a movie about Catan, but it's not about being in the world Catan,
I think
but
that
like
counts.
a tournament.
I think that counts.
Because of course, then there's been chess game.
There is the Lord of Catan movie. I mean, that's a little different. But in the same
I wasn't
realm.
thinking about that, but yeah.
What were you thinking?
Like tournament, when it's like a sports movie, but instead it's one guy like, this summer, John must learn the true meaning of trading sheep.
I would love that. Or like, what's the movie where Sylvester Stallone does arm wrestling?
I don't know.
Or he's a trucker. I forget what it's called. It's really bad, but it's like in 80s, like that. Anyway, yeah, or like Karate Kid, but instead of karate, it's magic. Yeah, that'd be cool.
They're making a magic movie too, aren't they?
Yeah.
Or yes, it's talk.
Yes, they are, because I see the writer tweets.
Right.
Yeah, they are doing a magic movie. That's like, again, that's one where just the world is so rich that you could really take any aspect of it, and as long as you just get a good writer, there could be something good. Like a Ouija board movie could have been great.
I think Hasbro is just trying to pump it's because they have the properties, they can do this.
Right.
They're big enough.
It's an automatic. People know what that is already.
Yeah.
We used up all the comics. We better.
You see with the other things, like with the Transformer movies. Like, yeah. I love them. Don't get me wrong.
Have you read any of the books based on any? Because doesn't Magic also have some books?
Magic does have. I have read a little bit of their stuff.
Those are probably cool.
It's definitely cool. It depends on what kind of person you are. Because they're actually in Magic.
You're a huge nerd.
Well, no. Magic actually has. I forget the names of them. Like, there's a name for a person who only cares about doing combos. There's a name for a person who only plays a creature. There's a name for a person who cares about the thematic story of the game and stuff and things like that. I lean more towards that because I love when I see, like there's this one character, this dragon, and then he came back because he was apparently killed in the story, but he was zombified. So it's just really cool. Like, you see how the story progresses. Like,
that's cool.
The best, one of my favorites was a recent set. Was when they went back to a planet that was pretty much all metal called Mirrodin. And the whole thing was an old enemy, Phyrexian, which had this oil, which is pretty much like it would infect like a disease if you got touched.
Okay.
And there's a war between the two groups. Mm-hmm. And the first two was seeing the war, so you have sides, so you see which side they're on. And the final set, they said, we see who would win the war. And we actually saw Phyrexian won the war, so the plane became New Phyrexian. They actually stopped printing the books, but they still make posts of the stories and stuff. And it's really cool because the whole last set was about Groot becoming corrupted. Not by Phyrexian, but by something else. So he's hunting planeswalkers. So
was that what you just said in a book, or are you just saying that would be
No, that
awesome?
I think...
story-wise, it translates
That was after... It translates really well into a story. And that's why I think, for a movie, I'm excited. Because they've now really established some planeswalkers as actual mascot characters, which I think is great. So I think Magic is really going to be able to take... I think Magic is a great place to take advantage. Also, because of the multiple playing things, you can do whatever the hell you want. It won't affect the card game. You can be okay, we're going to this plane, cuz. It really, like you said earlier with board games, atmosphere, Magic has a huge just environment for a huge sandbox.
There's a lot to play with.
Yes, without really annoying people being like, that's not accurate in this and stuff. Like some other things, like
make
comic.
A movie based on the Pokemon card game or the Yu-Gi-Oh card game.
They do have one for the Yu-Gi-Oh card game.
Another one that just got announced is Mage Wars is going to have books and comic books based on it and lots of spin-offs. What if you could decide a movie or a comic based, you think, let's say movie because that's the easiest one I think.
All right.
That you want to see a game made off of. What would you pick?
You mean a game made into a movie?
That isn't already. Yeah, game made into a movie.
Not the other way around.
Yes. I mean,
Well, I think.
I know you're gonna say, no. Go
Well,
ahead.
no, I want to know what you're gonna say because I think you can.
I
Guess
know it bubbling around in your
Yeah,
head.
tell
So
me
I
what
can
you-
more.
Yeah, I do think that's a good one.
But I feel like
think
that doesn't count because it's just Lovecraft. That's like you're just basing it on Lovecraft.
Well, one I was actually thinking of was A Study in Emerald, which is actually about them already awakening, and it's sort of Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, but I feel like
But
that's a
no,
cop.
yeah.
Like an original board game.
An original board game. Well, I think I want it, but I don't want it to come out now because I know no one's going to handle it right. And I don't mean the directors, I mean the people watching it. Pandemic.
Oh man, well, that's basically Contagion.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I feel like that would be an interesting.
Yeah. That's a really good one and a good title.
If they're willing to go super cheesy, Nightmare. It'd be a straight to DVD, but it would be hilarious.
You're in the theater and you have to do stuff while the movie's playing.
You know what would actually be a good one? Heroes Wanted. Sort of funny. You just make some. It'd be like a sort of a kick-ass, but much more comedy related.
I was gonna along the same lines. Well, I was gonna say Sentinels of the Multiverse, but I feel like that's already like
Very
just a parody of superheroes.
Well, no, it isn't. It's just another
It
universe.
sort of
Oh,
is.
Sorry,
I mean-
when I think parody in my head, I think more mocking. I don't think it mocks them as much.
No, but it definitely
Yes,
is like altered versions of heroes that exist.
But I
already.
mean, think that one would.
I want to see like a serious dramatic farming movie based on Agricola, just like a dry.
We don't have enough to feed our family. Kill the pet sheep.
the Steven Spielberg just war horse, but with I don't know.
I'm sorry, I just imagine near the end when did we win? We have a sheep in the pen. It counts.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some really good ones you could do that we're not thinking of.
Yeah, I mean.
A lot of games also are just generic, like a sci-fi game and a zombie game, so that's not as interesting.
Well, that's why I'm trying to think of somewhere where there's a character that really sticks out for some reason.
Character-wise, how about Doomtown? That'd be a good one.
Yes,
Actually,
that would be
awesome.
great. Oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
that would be
because there's
amazing.
magic and stuff. Yeah, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
How about we ask them?
Yeah. Tell us what you think about that. But we actually totally missed. We skipped over. We talked about books. We talked about movies. We didn't talk about games.
Oh, video games.
Yeah,
you mean?
like how they translate over to that.
Well, are you talking about just? Because I don't want to touch on digital translations.
So
we already did the
count?
topic.
Okay.
No. Unless they literally just took the
what
theme.
about Magic the Gathering? I know had an Xbox game that wasn't just playing cards.
Right.
Like it was a bit more like
that could be.
Do you think some games could offer a world where you could do that?
Yeah, I mean it's possible. I feel like it's really the same thing. Like if the theme is rich enough, then yeah, you can definitely translate it to something else. You just got to find the right hook.
I think one that actually would work well for apps because I feel like for mobile app video games because that's really a thing now. More is a Masquerade. You could actually have your phone up or something and you look around. Like in Mask, I'm just thinking about it. I think it'd be hilarious.
Oh boy, he's getting excited. Let us know what you think. If there are any games that you really think deserve a movie, or have you seen a lot of board game movies? There's probably one or two we didn't mention that you think are good or absolutely terrible.
Do you think something should be made into a new property? Something that shouldn't have been made into a new property?
Yeah, books, comics, what have you.
What makes a board game good, worthy enough to be made into a good property?
Or if you'd like to, beyond that, ask us any board game related question or give us a suggestion for a topic of the week you'd like to hear us discuss, please do so. You can talk to us on YouTube, leave a comment, or you can leave us an email. Our email address is rollforcrit@gmail.com.
And of course, you can comment below. But if that's too much for you, there's always 140 characters through Twitter. You can reach us at rollforcrit, of course, or our personal Twitters at DorkCurU,
at Quentz, and there's also at Ivan R. Hahn and at Foamy89. Follow us all, tweet about board games, plus lots of news and other videos that we have all throughout every single week on our website, which is rollforcrit.com. And we also sell a ton of board games, some of the ones we talked about in today's show, like Scrabble and etc. And this is the last week. Halloween is this week, so this Thursday will be our final Halloween playback episode, which is going to be an out-of-print game called Nightmare, so you can get ready for that.
So we hope you all enjoy your Halloween.
Yeah.
And hope more to come. And once again, please subscribe, leave comments. We'd love to hear from you. So that's it for this week. I'm Will Keeler.
I'm Jonathan Estes. Thank you for watching the Roll for Crit podcast.